It's always special to be inside any automobile plant, but this one becomes a little extra special because it's the first time that we've come inside a very special unit here which produces very special bikes. Inside the CKD facility of Triumph India Motorcycles with, of course, the Managing Director of Triumph India, Vimal Sumbly. Thank you for allowing us in here and spending some time with us.
Thanks, Siddharth. Thanks for coming in. I think I'm very happy to welcome you and your team here. And this is the first ever we have shown our CKD facility to anybody other than our customers. So please welcome to this.
I feel very privileged
factory.
And once again thank you for that, because while of course very often we like to get inside plants, our viewers love it. There's also got to be a sort of a rationale behind it. So spending some time with you in here I think makes it better for us in a way, because you can talk us through what's happening here and also what's happening with Triumph as a brand. Because when we first met 2 years ago, there was this promise that you arrived with. There was a claim that you made about how you viewed the Indian market, what Triumph means as a brand. All these months later, do you find that it's the same claim, or are you in a better position than you thought you would have been?
I would say that we are in a better position today as you and I talk. I think when we launched our product, which was on 28th November 2013, and we launched our 10 brands together. And I remember we made a claim that if we do 500 bikes in first year of operations, we'll be more than happy. And second year, some 750 bikes, and then 1,000. I'm very happy to share with you, in just 18 months of operations in India, as you and I talk, we already crossed 1,700 plus motorcycles in India. So very humbled with this achievement, and we owe it to our customers a lot. And I think in the same way, as I told you the day of the launch, Triumph was the first motorcycle company to bring a variety of products in one go
from day one
to a beautiful country like India. So we never did a test trial. We always bought what we thought the India needed, brought 5 categories of bikes. So I think that strategy seems to have worked for us.
And of course the fact that you decided early on that you need to do CKD, which is of course local assembling, to ensure that you're not just competitive, but you're also that much better entrenched in the market, isn't it?
I think our strategy was two-pronged. I would divide it. One was the back end and one was the front end. In terms of a back end strategy, we wanted to come and set up our facility here so that you can cater to the demand of the consumers in a very shorter period of time. 2, you could pass on the benefit of the cost to the end consumers. You could service them well. So we wanted to set it up here. As this facility, which is a CKD facility, we have 2 such facilities in the world, and India is one among them. And Triumph is such a large company. We operate out of 55 odd countries. So we give importance to Indian market. We bought the CKD facility here, and we bought the strategy of the product right. So I think that's worked well for us.
Now, that's why in the at the opening I said the word special so many times, because it is special, it is different, and as you mentioned, the fact that India gets identified like that for Triumph globally. The first time you approached that topic with the global management, how difficult was it to convince them that this is that kind of market?
See, I think globally India has a larger picture of being a commuter market, and there is a very niche about the premium segment.
Which is true. I mean, that is how it is.
Which is very good reality. But if you look at the niche market also in India, it is becoming as big as the developed countries in the world. Just to give you an example, in 2011 or 12, if I take 500cc plus market, it was roughly around 750 bikes. And last year it ended with 10,000 bikes in a year.
Huge difference.
Now, if it grows at the same pace, I'm sure we'll rub shoulders with the world developed countries. Triumph Motorcycles topmost management has a great focus on the developing countries. So before coming to India, they went to Brazil and did extremely well. And India was the second destination where the management thought the things are right. I think what we projected to the management, we have been quite successful in doing that in India. And as a management or as the owners of the company, they're very focused on India, and they want to see India becoming a larger market for Triumph.
You do 14 bikes. That's a large portfolio, even from the point of view of a mass player, really, if you think about it. And unlike some of your immediate rivals, there's a clear distinction amongst your bikes. They have different applications, different attributes, also different kind of consumers. Has that been a challenge in a sense? Because when you look at premium biking in India, you mentioned the volume or the sales units, but everybody sort of clubs that as one, and that's the assumption about the consumer too.
Yeah, I would say that if I divide India into a couple of segments of the customers, one is the guys who know about the biking clearly, so they know what they are going to choose and what they want for themselves.
And it's a choice they didn't have earlier.
And this choice they didn't
Yeah.
have earlier. In India, typically anything which looks big, they call it superbike.
Yeah.
And if you know, in the world, there are 5 broad categories of superbikes. One is called as classics. It's by the name. Classic means it's a retro looking, stylish, but it is with powerful engine and all. That's our Bonneville.
Yeah.
Second category in this is called as the roadsters. As the name suggests, is a street bike. It moves from one point to another point quickly. The posturing, it is like a street bike posturing. The style is more aggressive, more futuristic, and obviously it comes with the technology to back it up. The third category is called as the super sports, where you would like to do the fastest lap on a track, and
You're
that
crouching
adrenaline,
and-
the crouching,
yeah.
the riding position is so sharp, and Daytona stands out tall there. Then your fourth category, which is known well in India, is a cruiser category. You cruise for long distances. you
Leisure
go
biking,
together, it's a
yeah.
leisure biking. The category of the bikes, I think Triumph would take more of credit for it, is to develop that market or that segment in India. And I can see a lot of people getting into this segment now in India. It's called as adventure biking. And this is something which was needed in India, because we have somewhere roads, we don't have roads. And we had people which we saw in India upgrading in their category of biking. And adventure is something which you would like, it's called as nirvana in biking. And when we bought these bikes, we were successful. So these category of bikes now, consumers in India know, is it classic, is it roadsters, is it cruiser, or which category of bike is, and thereby he buys it. Rather than buying only a form, now he's buying what really will fit him. So that's brilliantly happening in India. And Triumph did that in India. Triumph did segment that in India. And we bought the fleet together for the riders in India. It's challenge to ensure that you're able to focus on a particular brand. So when we designed our stores in India, where the consumer comes and interacts, we have also made category within our stores. So a bike which is a classic will be in a classic corner, cruiser will be in a cruiser corner.
So that
And
even the consumer who doesn't know
Absolutely.
that gets the appreciation.
Absolutely appreciates it and gets. That's how we connect. And I think when we connect with our consumers well, and he gets what he wanted in his life, that's why we have been more successful in the country.
I have to, of course, point out for the viewers who may not remember this, that it is in fact the Tiger that won the Premium Bike Award at the NDTV Car and Bike Awards as well. So really credit to you for bringing that bike into India, because it is extremely different and it doesn't have an immediate rival in many senses. But taking risks like that, it's easy for you in a sense. Easy is the wrong word, but let's say it becomes that much easier for you being in this market, talking to your consumers, trying to understand from your dealers what may work, as opposed to someone who's sitting at the headquarters, at the global end of things. How do you convince them? How do you tell them that, what, this will work? It's never been done before, but it'll work.
I think it depends upon the strategy which you operate in India. I think in India, most of the times when a foreign player comes to India, he looks at 1.2 billion population, he looks at that GDP and he multiplies it by some fraction and says, okay, I'm going to get this market share. I think Triumph did completely different. I think we did both back end and front end
Luckily,
together.
that kind of misplaced logic has finally gone out of the window now, finally.
I think it will go out of the window.
Across the board, not just for bikes
Absolutely.
like yours.
And we did our strategy very well. We're very connected. I think if you look at the brand Triumph, not only in India, globally, we are connected with the rider. And we make everything to make rider feel his bike more.
Sure.
And we give him that experience. And India also is a touch and feel country, as you know. And when they ride our bikes and they get that experience, they talk well about it. The word of mouth is good. And when the value proposition which we present in our bikes in various categories, they really appreciate it. And that's when the whole chain goes up. It's not easy to convince any board in the world, but I would suggest, I would say that in my case I was lucky, because whatever we did as a strategy and we got the results to back it up. Now there's a little bit more confidence back end that whatever we say can happen in India, so we get more and more support.
So from, let's say the other side of that coin, then let's talk about that for a second, where now that there has been this kind of experience, and sure, it's still early days for you, but since you have that kind of experience and you've had this kind of, let's say, specific interaction on specific models, going forward for Triumph, when they're looking globally at launching new models or getting into new spaces, new kinds of designs, how much are they asking you about what your consumer wants?
See, they take a fair amount of inputs from India, and they would take fair amount of inputs from the developing world. If you see at global market, some of them are common things. And with respect to India, the consumer demands are a little higher, a little different. So they take all that feedback, because we have become a part of their strategy, be it Brazil or be it India. Like, let's take an example. Last year we sold roughly around 52,000 odd units. Around 5,500 came only from Brazil and India. And in the history of 30 years of Triumph, Triumph did the highest ever sale last year, and Brazil and India contributed to it. So being a part of the developing market, so they have to listen because the size is becoming larger, and the future is also becoming equally important in terms of these developed markets. So they take a fair amount of feedback.
Of course, we are inside the plant, and I want to understand more of what you do here. We will show you more of the plant as well. So let's take a very short break. We'll be back right after that with more from Vimal.